The copy-paste system isn't exactly a new thing. It's been around for a few months now, and despite Suna being tentative about its implementation, it's proven to be quite handy for a lot of players. Personally though, I've hardly ever used it since it was quite limiting and pretty unwieldy. This changes now, thanks to the new copy-paste improvements introduced over on the experimental branch. With the highlight of the patch being the prefab support, we can now copy both child entities and logical links. The cherry on top is the much finer placement control, which sadly doesn't come without its drawbacks. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and instead begin with the basics. First, you need to subscribe to some prefabs from the workshop, and they all will be in this new menu. To use them, you just need to drag and drop them over the toolbar and place them in the spot you want, just like with any other block. But let's say you've got a turret you want to make a prefab out of. If you don't know how to make one, go check out the turret building guide on my channel. There's been some changes since then, but most of the info is still relevant. First, you need to place it on top of a flat surface and pick the copy-paste tool from the codex and drag it over one of the toolbars. Select the copy-paste tool from the toolbar so that it shows up on your multi-tool. Click and hold the left mouse button and draw a rectangle at the turret's base so that it covers it completely from a top-down view. Then, still holding the left mouse button, click the block rotation key, which is R by default, and drag a box upwards to contain the entire turret within. There might be some extra blocks thrown in from around the turret. If this is the case, just paste the turret in a completely clean and flat area, remove the unnecessary blocks and repeat the copy. Once you're happy with the result, head into the codex and click the clipboard icon here. It features some handy customization options, but for now let's just test paste it. To do that, just click the Export Prefab Locally button, but keep in mind that there's no overwrite prompt, so you have to pay attention to how you name your prefabs every time you export them. Just remember that it always defaults to the name you exported it under previously. Once you do that, click the Prefab menu icon. Here you can see the list of prefabs you currently have, the ones you subscribed from the workshop designated with the Steam icon. If they have arrows like this, it means that it's your blueprint you're subscribed to. Notice that all of them have different orientations. If you don't like the orientation of your prefab, you can actually change it. Just paste it in a different orientation and copy it again until you're happy with the result. The cut tool has not yet been implemented, so you might have to delete blocks by hand or, which is a better idea, place them on a new grid which you can just unspawn later. Now that we have the turret's thumbnail facing the way we want, we can focus on the placement options. These will be saved along with the prefab, so every time you paste it, it's gonna attempt to place the prefab with those options in mind. In case of smaller turrets, I like to stick to the finest grid possible, so 1/8 of a meter. If you are dealing with bigger turrets, or if you are placing them on a larger grid, it's a better idea to use a placement grid of that size or half of it, in case you needed to place the prefabs off-center. And now it's time for the really finicky part, which is the grid offset. If you are as picky as me about the placement of turrets, you will want to spend a good couple of minutes fiddling with these options. The first field is the x-axis, the second one is z-axis, which stands for height, and the third one is the y-axis. The numbers you type in here correspond to a quarter the size of the grid you chose, so if you are using a 1 meter grid, the increments are gonna be 1/4 of a meter. To visualize it better, you can think of it as offsetting the grid by a thickness of a thin tile of that particular scale size. The number of these thin tiles stacked is the number you put in the text field. I know it's super unwieldy and I don't like it either, but at least it's precise and this is what you've got for now. Right, so the last step would be to name your prefab and export it either locally or to the workshop. In both cases, you don't need to worry about the description because you won't see it for the local exports, and in case of workshop prefabs, you can edit the description after the upload is finished. The game stores the local prefabs in the Blueprints prefabs directory, and there's not much more to it. However, the interesting part begins when you want to upload your creation to the workshop and make a custom thumbnail for it. When you click the Export Prefab on Workshop button, notice the directory the game tells you. It stores the prefabs in the save_data/workshop directory. In exactly the same folder, it stores all the other blueprints you exported to the workshop. When you open that folder in the Windows Explorer, you will notice 3 PNG files. The only one you need to change is the one with the name of your prefab, followed by _preview. It has a standard 16:9 ratio, and I recommend using the 1280x720 resolution, because the file size limit is 1 MB. All you have to do to replace the thumbnail is paste in your picture name exactly the same way as the file you're replacing, so the prefab name followed by _preview, and click replace. Now you can alt-tab back to the game and change that visibility to private. And the reason I recommend it is that you can edit the description of the item you're uploading and add some photos before it goes public. Updating a pre-existing workshop item is as easy as clicking the workshop item drop-down list and choosing the item you want to update, but remember, every time you update a blueprint you need to provide a custom thumbnail if it had one. Now you can finally click the Upload to Workshop button, wait for it to upload, and if it succeeded, you will be taken immediately to the workshop website where you can edit the description and add some photos. If you don't want to upload it yet, just hit escape. If it failed, that probably means you went over the size limit of the custom thumbnail, which is 1 MB. Or it's named incorrectly, in which case just try to repeat the whole uploading process and make sure that you name the custom thumbnail correctly. If you don't have a custom thumbnail, or if you are sure it's not over the limit, it's probably Steam's fault, and yeah, I can't help you with that. Make sure to provide some stats for your turrets, for example the base size, the DPS, the power requirement, the heat output. You can also look up Steam text formatting, which will help make your description look more attractive and readable. If you've got any questions or didn't understand something, just hit me up in the comments down below, or if you'd like to see a Starship EVO guide on a particular topic, same deal. I've been Indrasil, you know the drill, and see you in the next one.